Well, hello everyone, 'tis I, and I am back with another giant unhaul. I am working my way through one shelf to another to another. So I'm working my way through my bookcases. It has been a hot minute since I have done this, where I've taken all of the books off and really assessed what books do I really want to read and what am I just not drawn to. I did something like this 3 years ago, but it's been quite a while. So here we are. I hope that you enjoy what we're doing. This is episode 2. I'll link episode 1 in the description box below for you. But what we're doing is essentially I'm going through a couple of bookshelves, and I'm going to do first impressions, like my first impression. Do I want to read it? Do I not want to read it? Am I not sure? And then I'll go through the not sure pile after. We'll get the hang of it as we go. Number 1, this is a mix, I should say, of classics and also historical fiction. So first up is Washington Square by Henry James. I remember just adoring this and feeling like this gave me Jane Austen vibes. I am absolutely keeping it. You cannot tear this away from me. P.S. Winnie is here, but she's chewing on a bone this time, as opposed to last time when she was chewing my books, which was very upsetting, as you can imagine. Next up is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I loved this one. I haven't read this in so long now, but this is my second favorite Jane Austen. Pride and Prejudice, number 1. Yeah, but I'm definitely keeping this. Villette is next by Charlotte Bronte. I want to keep this. I want to read this. I will say I have this in an ebook form. Because it's chunky, I'll probably read it on ebook. But until I've read it, I want to keep it. It's such a beautiful cover. Anyway, so I want to keep that. Now, wow, don't judge me. This is Emma by Jane Austen. Many people say that this is Jane Austen at her finest. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I'm actually going to get rid of this. I just, I just don't want to reread that one ever, really. The next is The Aeneid by Virgil. I have clung on to this since I was, like 17 when I first read it. I just don't think I'll ever reread this. So I'm going to pass this along to someone else. Next is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I really enjoy this book. I want to keep it because I think I'll revisit that one day. The House on the Strand by Daphne du Maurier. I don't really remember what this is about, but I really enjoy Daphne du Maurier's writing, so I'm going to keep her books. That's for sure. Oopsie. Next is Memoirs of a Geisha. And this has very mixed reviews and mixed points of view because it is written by a white man writing about Japan and from a woman's perspective. And I really enjoyed this book, and I kind of feel a little guilty about that, considering that, it's not own voices, and I recognize that, but I just remember being so entranced and transfixed with this book that I really want to keep it. It has a soft place in my heart, so I'm going to keep Memoirs of a Geisha. The House Opposite by Barbara Noble. I really enjoyed this. This is World War II historical fiction. Actually, World War II fiction, because Barbara Noble actually lived through the war. And so we follow a woman who's actually having an affair with a married man, and they conduct those affairs while the bombs are dropping on London. Very interesting read. I don't want to actually keep this. I would like to read more by Barbara Noble, but just not this one again. Next is The German Heiress. I don't remember what this is about, but I'm feeling not sure about this one. So I'm going to put this in the maybe pile. First in the maybe pile. Okay. Okay, Winnie, you're right in the middle. Thank you. Next is Dreams of Joy by Lisa C. I think I have Shanghai Girls. This is a sequel, but I'm not sure where it is on my shelves. Not sure if I'm going to keep this or not. I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. Next is Small Island by Andrea Levy. Another one that I feel like, obviously I've heard so many good things about this. It's really well known, but I've never been drawn to pick it up for some reason. It happens post World War II, and it follows a black man living in London and his wife, and how they don't feel incredibly accepted. It sounds interesting. I just don't know. So I'm going to put it on the maybe pile. Oh my goodness. This is not a maybe. This is a yes. Girl with a Pearl Earring. I've not read it yet, but I love Tracy Chevalier. I've fallen in love with her writing this year, and my dad's favorite artist of all time is Vermeer, and my dad comes from an artist background. He's a graphic designer, and so I have always grown up with Vermeer stuff all around my house when I was little. So I definitely want to read this. This is about a woman or girl who Vermeer paints. This lady. So I want to keep it. I want to read it. Oh, The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. This book made me cry. This is about mothers and daughters and the complications of those relationships. And it follows both sets of women through their lives. And just so good. I'm keeping that for sure. 5 Quarters of the Orange. I don't remember anything about this really. I think it might be World War II. I'm going to put it on the maybe pile. Not Our Kind. Again, I don't really remember anything about this. I'll have to put it on the maybe pile and take a look. Okay, let's keep going. Those Who Save Us. Another World War II historical fiction book. I think this is about a woman who finds a photo of herself as a child with her mother standing next to a German officer, and she's like, what is this? What is this history that I don't remember? And it does sound so interesting, and she's trying to get this information from her mother. I think I'm going to keep it because it just sounds so fascinating and perplexing. The Reader. I know that this is a very beloved book. It has, the topic of it is just a tough one. It's about a woman who had essentially was sexually assaulting her male student. No, I don't want to read it. The topic is just a hard one for me. Vanessa and Her Sister, I don't even remember what this is about, but I'm gonna put it in the maybe pile because I don't remember. The Vanishing by Wendy Webb. I think this is about a woman who goes to take care of an elderly woman and discovers that it is actually a woman who was thought to have gone missing and a very well-known author. This has been on so many TBRs. It will be on more TBRs because I am keeping this one. Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day. First of all, this is so stunning. Persephone Books knows how to make a really beautiful book and cover, and even the end papers are nice. So I'm not sure about this one. It's meant to be funny, and I like that it's they publish essentially a lot of classics that have gone kind of forgotten, and a lot of those classics are written by women, and I really love that about them. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or not, but put it on the maybe pile. Ditto with Snow Falling on the Cedars. The concept of it is really interesting though, about a Japanese American man who is charged for the murder of a local fisherman in 1954. It sounds so difficult. Okay, I'm gonna keep it. It sounds so good. I'm gonna keep it. Ditto again for Human Croquet by Kate Atkinson. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. Was this her first book that she came out with? No, her first book was Behind the Scenes at the Museum, but I think this comes in at number 2. So I would like to keep it. Kind of family saga, told through trees, something like that. I want to keep it. That was so clear, wasn't it? The Great Gatsby is another classic that I've read twice. The first time in high school, I hated it. The second time at university, I loved it. So here we are, it's staying on the shelves. Kazuo Ishiguro's The Remains of the Day. I've heard very, very good things about this. And I think this is a movie with Anthony Hopkins from like the 80s or early 90s. I'm very curious about it. And you know what I do enjoy about this is that it kind of explores that period of time where there was fewer people working as butlers and maids and that kind of thing. But this follows a butler who is still in that time and stuck in that time. Maybe not stuck is the wrong word, but it sounds really interesting. I should just keep this because I know that it's good writing, and I'm likely to enjoy that. Homegoing is next by Yajiasi. I loved this book. Such an impactful book because it is told by numerous narrators, but you end up caring about each one, and you know you're only going to spend like a chapter with each one before you move on to the next character. And I don't know how she did that. I'm going to keep it. Birdcage Walk by Helen Dunmore, I believe, is about domestic abuse. And that sounds interesting. I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. Oh my goodness. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Loved this book. I am due for a reread. It's been over a decade since I've read this, but I remember at the end just being absolutely gripped at the edge of my seat. And it has romance, which I don't like, but it has romance, it has terror, it has, it's seeped in history and Black history, and I just, loved that book. The Kitchen Boy is interesting about the imprisonment and execution of the Tsar family, of the Romanovs, essentially. I think it sounds very fascinating. Short little book. I'm gonna put it on the maybe pile. Oopsie. Day After Night follows a group of people who were saved from concentration camps, if I'm not mistaken, or internment camps, excuse me. And it is about their experience after that or during that. It sounds interesting, and I really like Anita Diamant's writing, so I'm going to keep that one. Ooh, The Color Purple is next. If this doesn't make you love female friendship and female love, no other book will. This is a hard book to read, but it's so uplifting, and how to be there for your friends. Yes to this. I will be keeping that. Okay, Warlight is next by Michael Ondaatje. I think I have 2 of his books now on my shelves. This is World War II. Sounds interesting from the perspective of children. I think one of them is 14 years old and then a younger child. Interesting, not sure. I'm going to put it on the maybe pile. Cutting for Stone is one of those books that I feel like everyone has read. It's very beloved, but I don't really know why, but maybe I should keep it for that reason. I'm going to put it on the maybe pile. Exit the Actress is about a woman who kind of climbs the ranks in London, if I'm not mistaken, and ends up being the mistress of Charles II. It sounds interesting, but I don't know. Okay, maybe pile. This is why you have a maybe pile. The Chilbury Ladies Choir. I've meant to read something by Jennifer Ryan for a while now. And this sounds like a quiet World War II historical fiction book about everyday citizens living during this time. I've heard good things about it, but I'm going to put it on the maybe pile again. The Blue Castle by Ella Montgomery, I believe, is the only adult fiction book written by Ella Montgomery. I'm not sure about this one because as I went and read more of the Anne of Green Gables series, I enjoyed it less and less. I enjoyed Anne less and less. Oh. And I feel like it actually ruined the story in my head a little bit. And as a Canadian, Anne of Green Gables, like as a Canadian who lived in the 80s, who like grew up in the 80s and early 90s, that series on TV was big. Anyway, not sure. All that to say, not sure. The Silence of Bonaventure Arrow. My mom loves this book, and I like to read the books that my mom loves. And so I want to read this about a man who is mute, and he doesn't speak, but he listens to people. And I think it's meant to be a heartwarming story, I think. So I want to keep that. I love my mama. Okay. Whew. That was like very fast. Time to like go through one by one with these maybe pile things. My little stack of books that I'm getting rid of is little, like 4 books. So, okay, I need to be focused. Let's do this. Okay, the first is about the last days of the Romanov family. I find that whole period of time and what happened to that family fascinating. I really do. I've read nonfiction books about it. And this follows a kid who's working for the family and kind of taking care of them in their last days. I just think it's interesting, and because it's so small, I'm going to keep that one. Helen Dunmore is a writer that I have not read and I've heard very good things about. I think this is the only book of hers that I own on my shelves, and I'd like to keep it. It sounds extremely claustrophobic to be in a marriage with a man who believes that your destiny is essentially to just serve him. And it takes place in the 1700s, late 1700s, but I think that sounds good. I'm going to keep it. The Blue Castle, I think I'm going to get rid of this. This is about a woman who's basically battling her mother. And I'm not as blown away by Ella Montgomery. I also read a biography about Ella Montgomery, and when you find out that she didn't actually really enjoy writing the Anne books, but did it for money, understandably at the time, but it ruins it. So I think I'm done with that author. I'm quite interested in the Chilbury Ladies Choir, considering that it really is about the average citizen. I find a lot of the time with World War II fiction, there's like this need to peg every single woman as like this amazing hero. She was a spy. She was a resistance fighter. She was this, she was that. But some people were just people, and I feel like most people were just people at this time. So I want to keep it because it tells that kind of story. Next is Vanessa and Her Sister. I have 2 Priya books on my shelves, and I think I'm going to get rid of this one and maybe keep the other. That other one is Exit the Actress. I'm going to keep this one. I just think I'm more interested in that storyline. I think that I should read Cutting for Stone because I think I don't read enough stories about India, and I think I should do that. So I'm going to keep it. There's something so mysterious about Warlight that I want to keep it. It follows like a group of essentially criminals who worked together to protect these children during the war. I am curious, or after the war, I should say, after the war. And it's Michael Ondaatje, and he is Canadian, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's Canadian. So I'm going to keep that one. Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day might be a lovely book to read when I'm looking for something uplifting. It's meant to be quite funny, so I'm going to keep that one too. Okay, so the next one is Not Our Kind, which is post-World War II, following a Jewish woman who needs to hide that she is Jewish. I don't know where she needs to do that. And there's a romance in it. So I'm going to pass it along because you guys know I don't usually love a romance. Sometimes, most of the time, I have no heart. Okay, I'm definitely going to keep 5/4 of the Orange. It takes place before and after World War II, or during and after World War II, and it just sounds interesting about someone going away and coming back to a very different town. I think I'm also going to keep Dreams of Joy. I'm hoping that I'll like Shanghai Girls, the first in the series. I think my sister enjoyed them, so I'm going to keep this with the hopes that I'll like it. This sounds interesting. So the German heiress follows a woman who was German during World War II and actually worked at some sort of iron company. And after the war ends, her life is drastically different, and she's left with all sorts of questions surrounding her family. So I think I'm going to keep this. I've never read Annika Scott before, and I'd like to try her out. Last but not least, I'm sorry to say, I think I'm going to get rid of Small Island. I have not wanted to reach for it. I don't know why. Rationality says that I should keep it, but I'm going to get rid of it. So I was about to do a second shelf, but as I'm looking at the time, it's 27 minutes long. This would be such a long video. I'm gonna have to do episode 3 and just do, I think, one shelf at a time because they're so long otherwise. Okay, here we are. I've done well, I would say. I'm gonna put these back. I didn't get rid of as many books as I thought I would, but that's okay. That sometimes you declutter a lot and sometimes you do not. I'm gonna move on to the next shelf, and I will see you with episode 3 very soon.